Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leather Supply. Like a lot of us, I don't wear much in the way of adornment or accoutrement, but we're leather crafters. We need to display our craft. How about we make a double wrap cuff? And I will definitely wear this. Now, a couple of good points. For those of us that are new, nothing difficult here, but it's going to look clean and finished. For those of us with a little more experience, all kinds of ways to make this our own. And the third, and this is a good point, minimal materials and labor. What a great product for a craft show. All right, so anything I use in this video, weaverleathersupply.com, or check below. We've got links going to take you straight to the website. And if you want to know when our videos release, just click your notifications. You'll know exactly when these come out. So let's start by looking at our pattern. And we've got a relatively simple pattern. We've just got 3 pieces to deal with. We've got a digital pick. We'll look at that shortly, but there are a couple of things we need to talk about. Well, first off, we need a measurement. This pattern is based on a 7-inch wrist. That's my wrist, but it's easy to add or subtract on the sizing. We'll talk about that. But right here, first thing we need, let's get a size on our wrist. We can always go with a tape measure. Simply wrap that around. Now, don't make that tight. Let's make this comfortable. So maybe a little loose. Now, if we don't have a tape measure, we can always go just with a piece of string or a piece of lace. Let's wrap that around, hold that where the mark is, and then we can lay that on a straight edge. That'll give us a good measurement. Now, to size this, like I said, this is based on a 7-inch, a little bit loose. But we've got 2 distances here. So right here, from our rivet to our snap, and then from our rivet to our snap on our 2 main straps, say we've got an 8-inch wrist. I'm going to split the difference. So 1-inch difference, we're going to split that 1/2 inch. I'm going to add 1/2 inch to this distance and 1/2 inch to this distance. These distances are static, but what that'll do, that'll keep what we consider our decoration right up front and our snaps right on the back. Now, another point. We're going to go with a 2 to 3 ounce leather. It's nice, soft, it's going to be great for a cuff, but here's a problem. When we do a bend back on that, that is simply too little leather for a small double cap rivet. We're not going to be able to set that well. So what we're going to do is actually add 3 holes to our bend back. So we'll come through our D-ring, we'll come back, and then that rivet's going to go through 3 plies. That'll help us get a better set. Now, width-wise, we're going to go with 2 widths. We don't have to. Your project, your call. But I like a little thinner band for the main bodies on my cuff. But we've got a 1/2 inch D-ring. In fact, love these D-rings. We'll get a better look at those. But those are 1/2 inch. So, for our 2 main straps, let's go a little bit less than a 1/2 inch. I've written in 7/16 inch, but just somewhere in there. Then for our decoration, right here, let's go a 1/2 inch, because on our D's, these are 1/2 inch. So what that'll do is that's going to keep those from, yeah, there we go, over time, working themselves around. We don't want that. But at the same time, our flat is a 1/2 inch, but out here, if we go with a little bit thinner width, there we go, that's actually going to sit pretty nicely. So that's the point of 2 different widths. But again, your project, your call. All right, so we got a feel for this. Let's jump over to our digital picks. On our main strap, 7/16 inch by 12 1/4 inches. Our medium strap, 7/16 by 5 1/4 inches. We've got our marks on the left for our rivet holes and on the right for our snap. And then our smallest piece, 3 1/2 inches long. We're going to punch a hole 1/4 inch in on either side, split the difference. So right in the middle. So that will give us our bend back, our 2 bend backs. So we have 3 plies there. I think we've got a feel for what we're doing. Let's step over to our main table, cut some leather. We're going to go with our 2 to 3 ounce chrome tan water buffalo. This is beautiful. It's going to be perfect for our cuff. Lighter weight, but it's got a little body, but still supple. Now we've got this in brown and black, and I almost want to make a second cuff in black, because black with black hardware, that would look very tactical. Or say we add brass to the black, be very classic. That would be boardroom level class. But I like the brown and black. It's almost a combination of the 2. All right, so for the eagle-eyed observers, technically 12 3/8 of an inch long, but we're already dealing with an uncommon size, 7/16. So I didn't want to add another 1/8 of an inch to that just to save on the confusion. But in all honesty, on our marks, if we happen to punch our hole just a little inside of each mark, That's going to be 1/8 of an inch right there. The point, it's not going to really make a big difference. Now, I'm going to make more of these. Absolutely. We could simply just measure from our straight edge, cut and punch. But let's make patterns. This is our pattern sheeting. Great for patterns. It's easy to mark, easy to cut, and very durable. All right, so when we cut this, thinner leathers, sharp blade or new blade every time. Now, I could simply measure with our steel square. I could simply measure over and make a mark. Well, how about we just do this? And this is going to be a big help to us when we're cutting softer or thinner leathers. The way we had it, we would measure in, we bring our square or our straight edge over, and we cut. Here's the problem. Notice how little leather we have actually under our square. What's going to happen is if our blade isn't perfectly straight as we cut, it's going to pull that leather and we're going to get a terrible cut. We'll never get a good piece of strap. So if we go roll towards us, well now, first off, all we have to do to measure is just use our square, but also the full width of the straight edge is on my leather, and if we use a good sharp or new blade, we're going to get a good cut every time. And notice how easily that cuts. Very nice, and we get a good clean cut. Now, good point. Part of that, first off, new or sharp blade, but secondly, this is our poundo board. It's great cutting surface. It allows our blade to sink in a little bit. So therefore, we get a good square cut, as opposed to if I tried to cut this on our plywood, because of all these little cuts and scars, everywhere one of those is, we're going to have fuzz hanging out. It's not going to be a good cut. All right, next up, now we need a piece 1/2 inch wide by 3.5 inches. There we go. Very nice. Let's reset here. Cut to size. Let's start with our 3.5 inch piece. I'm just going to cut from pattern. Good. And let's mark. There we are. All right. Over here, the same thing. Let's trim to size and we'll mark. Now on this last piece, we're going to use a Segma snap. On this I've got marked cap, simply because we're going to use 2 different size holes. If you're not familiar with these, they'll make sense very shortly, but it's a great snap, easy to set, and we see these everywhere. There we go. Okay, and we're going to leave 3/4 of an inch there as a tab, because that will be our cap. That'll give us something to grab. Now let's step over to a revolving punch, and this is a great punch. It's a compound punch. For those of us that don't have a lot of strength in our hand, this works nicely. Now with thinner leathers, these can be a problem to punch. They don't typically want to separate. All we need to do, let's take a piece of scrap and let's just punch through our leather into our scrap. Now, most of these are going to be rivet holes, so I'm going to go with maybe the second, maybe third smallest tube on my revolving. Let's do our best to see if we can hit that strap right in the middle. Okay, we've got that. Now, on our cap side, let's go up to our largest tube. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's step over to our punch table. We're going to add a round end punch to all of our ends. Not terribly necessary. The only place we really need a round end is outside of our cap. But really, if we don't have the tools, we can go with a 1/2 inch, kind of uncommon in our shop. 3/4 inch, a little more common, that'll work. That's what we'll use. But also, our corner knives, that would actually make a very nice end. Now we could, if we don't have any of the tools, we could just cut across at an angle. I almost like that more than the round end, more of a rustic look. So let's go with our 3/4 inch end everywhere else. And there we go. Now, like I said, we don't have to round in every other end, but it's a nice touch. Okay, so let's reset here, knock this together. And again, let's start with our smallest piece, 1/2 inch wide. So on our D's, we've got our 1/2 inch D's, and I love the look of those. Love the black finish. We're going to use our double cap rivets. This is a 1/4 inch, technically. Now, good point here. Until recently, if we didn't go with nickel or brass on a project, it was impossible to get all of our hardware to match. At Weaver, a little bit of a sales pitch here, but yeah, it's a good point. At Weaver, we've got multiple finishes in D's, O's, squares, spots, rivets. Now it's actually easy to get all of our hardware to match. So right here, let's start with our D. We're going to bring one in from one side and one from the other, okay? Let's take a post for our double cap. We're going to circle around. There we go. We're going to go through that other tab. Now we're going to go through the face. Good, we've got that. And one of the things I love about a double cap rivet, there we go, we can snap the cap down without setting it. So if we have multiple rivets on a project, we don't hit one and all the other caps pop off. Very frustrating. All right, next up, this is our 4-piece deluxe setter set. Great buy for us crafters because we can set a lot of our common hardware. Line 24 snaps, 20 snaps, Segma, and our rivets. So on this, let's do our best. We've got thin leather here. I'm going to do my best to try to keep my setter as straight up and down as I can. So step 1, let's set our setter on our rivet. But step 2, when we're setting this, let's watch right there. Good. And we get a good clean set every time. We don't have a miss set. The reason I say let's keep our eye right here, because if we come across at an angle, that's going to ding our leather. It's going to look terrible. All right, next up, let's go with our longer strap. Either side doesn't matter. But now on this, let's come through. Let's go with our rivet post in our middle hole. There we go. Let's bring this tab around onto that rivet. And now let's bring that through. There we go. So again, we're just using 3 plies there. Helps us get a better set on our rivet. And same on the other side. And there we go. Okay, that looks good. Nothing difficult thus far. Now on this end, there are 4 pieces to a Segma snap. There we go. Okay, so we've got our cap and our socket. Those are going to go together. We've got our post and our stud. So on this end, let's come through. Good. Now I like a little bit tighter hole for our rivets and our snaps. To me, that's going to be a more durable bite. Let's take this. Now on our setter, we've got a setter with an indent in the end. And there we go. Okay, first off, nothing difficult there. On the other end, let's use our anvil. Notice our cap sits right in that 3rd indent. So our socket, we're going to come from our flesh side, force that through. That's why we need a little bit larger hole there. Let's put that in the cap. And the other setter, it's got a post on the end. And there we go. Very nice. Let's get a little better look at this. My first concern here is I'm not a hand model. I have shop hands, probably like a lot of us. So I'm going to do my best to make this look good. In fact, let's use my tabletop as a rustic background. Maybe that will help. Let's see how this fits. Actually, just right. It feels comfortable, not too tight, looks good. Notice our decoration right on the top, snap right on the back. Very nice. What a great project. Simple, looks good, and that is something I'm absolutely going to wear. The best part there, the more we wear it, enjoy it, and love it, the better it's going to look. I hope you have a great time designing and making your double wrap cup, and I hope you get some compliments on it. Good luck with your projects.